Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Radio Culture Shock. I'm your faculty host, Nathaniel.
Hi everyone, I'm Willie again.
Juan, I am Daniela, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Princesa Hernández. Princesa, ¿cómo te encuentras?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for this amazing adventure. I like adventures like this.
Well, Princesa, she actually studied linguistics and Hispanic literature at the Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, but also she is an apostle. So she is a writer. She is also a college teacher, and she also likes to imagine a lot of things.
Okay, and so we're here today to discuss. We'll talk about your book later in the show, but we're also here to talk about Valentine's Day is our theme for this week. Valentine's Day is coming up on the 14th of February, as it does every year, which is on Thursday this week. But before we get to our theme for the week and different cultural celebrations of Valentine's Day, and before we get to know our guest and a little bit more about her work and her life. How about we start basic questions. So you went to the Universidad Autónoma de Puebla. Are you originally from Puebla? And tell us a little bit more about your background. And
Yes, I was born in Puebla, in an amazing barrio, is Analco.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the most beautiful barrios in Puebla. But I don't like Puebla actually. But in the past, but when I travel around the world, I really I can to praise this beautiful country and my city.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Puebla now.
So, have you traveled to other countries?
Yes, actually, I studied in Barcelona for 1 year, and I knew Europe, Belgium, Brussels, Spain, France, London. I don't like London. Raining a lot of time. Guatemala, Argentina, and Mexico, and USA, of course.
So, did you find any major difference on the culture, our Mexican culture and other cultures, like, for example, in France or in Belgium, like?
The outfits. In France, everybody have amazing outfits and very skinny and blah blah blah. But the main difference, I think, is the organization. Here, the people don't like follow the law, and Mexico is a beautiful small. Chaotic.
Okay.
It's a little chaotic, but it's beautiful. And when you live here, you understand that you understand Mexicans, but only when you live here and you understand the rules.
the rules of the chaos.
Exactly, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Right. Well, right now you are telling us about all the countries that you have been. Let's talk about like the distance, maybe in education, maybe culture. Why do you think it's the main difference between these important factors, education and culture? Do you think that we are really like far away from, for example, the countries that are our first world?
In Barcelona, I feel very comfortable, but in USA, the difference was so big because the first thing was discipline. In Mexico, if you want to make the homework, it's fine. In public school, and I studied all my life in public university, a public high school, and blah blah blah. But in USA, the discipline and it's very competition between peers is like. And the discipline is different. Your commitment with your classes and your free time is different, and you begin in other way to understand the world and the science. In my case, my PhD was in theology, and that changed my mentality forever. And when I back to Mexico was a decision 2 months ago, was for my second book, La Caverna de Medusa, and for social commitment, because I think in Mexico is the mission. You know, I think there are a lot of poison in the environment, violence and resentment. I don't know, but I feel. And I think the mission is the mission of the love, hope, and faith.
Okay. And so, how did you arrive at studying theology after after the first phases of your education?
Because I am Protestant, and I decide travel to missions in Kentucky.
Okay.
I feel really I feel a strong contact with my faith, and I understand something. It was a revelation for me. God is something not about religion. God found you in so many ways, and for me, God found me through the poetry. And I write an essay for a scholarship because it's so expensive to study in USA. And my essay was about Jesus is not blondie. Yes, because here is like Jesus is blondie and is white and is man and blah, blah, blah. And no, Jesus is like you and like me, like everybody. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how, but they like my position, and my main line or investigation is about teología de la liberación.
Okay.
And combativo.
Okay.
Combativo.
And entonces, so you returned to Mexico so you finished your theology studies recently?
Yes.
Okay, and so you came.
December.
Okay.
And I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we're talking about love, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Is there any like tradition or something you like to do?
No, no, because in the past I was a teenager, like a little bit amargada, and I think I don't like that date. But now I think it's a miracle. One day we all dedicate to the love. It's something amazing. Then the love is in the air.
Like the sun.
Yes. And I don't think the love is only in one way to a couple, a partner. I think love your life, your brothers, your sisters, your community, a lot of ways to love. You know, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love everybody.
and so is that from, so the idea of love, is that, do you take this from your theological studies then?
Yes, of course.
And
My idea change about love.
And can you explain that a little bit more for us?
I don't believe anymore in duality.
Okay.
I don't think you are different like me. I think everybody, we are one. And the best force is the love. Then when I think in duality, it's suffering for me, because you are other. And I don't believe you are other. Your love is my love. Your successful is my successful. Your life is my life, and your hope is my hope, because we are one, and we come the same place.
Okay.
Me sale lo predicadora.
Y entonces, también escribes, you write about these themes in your poetry?
Yes, like you know, my accent is so strong, and when I arrived to United States was the political moment with Trump was so hard for me, and I feel it was the first time like I feel fear about being Mexican or Hispanic. It's like, and was terrible, and anybody understand me? It's like, hey, 2 chocolates, what? And I think I can't to express myself in English, but anybody understand me? But thanks God, my main ability is write and imagine. The imagination is really saved my life. And I wrote a poem about that. If I can share, can I?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of
Please
course.
do.
Please.
About it's 3 women. When I tell you I don't understand, don't believe me. I'm lying. I know. I always know what you want to tell me. Because for me, your words are your face, your arms, your lips, your eyes. Maybe I can't talk with you, but I have tried. I promise. I tried to learn a human language where bird, and beer means flight, hair, and golden drink. I'm sorry. I learned another language. The cat taught me silence. Meow, 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 and open the door. Meow, run. Meow, play. Meow, sleep. Meow is enough. The sound of love is prr, prr, prr. The trees taught me their language. Leaves sounds like warmth, and warmth sounds like my heart. Blue sky, red fire, green grass, white, brown, black, and yellow skin. I do not have a color. I am the colors. Sometimes when nobody understands me, I only want to say meow and maybe someone listens to me. Maybe someone feels me. Maybe for someone my eyes, my lips, my arms are enough to say, hey, 3 women, I understand you and I love you.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And well, as we can see, and it's incredible because you love what you do, this poetry, for example. And tell us more about it. Do you have a favorite, favorite poem? What's your favorite poetry? I don't know, maybe tell us about it.
Yes, I love poetry, but I don't think the poetry is a genre. I think the poetry is everything. You can find the poetry in your eyes, in your voice, in the music, in the other, in the word, in the air. but my, I go always the same poet, and it's a Mexican poet. His name is Rubén Bonifaz Nuño, and I like him because his poetry is like mariachi. You know, it's like you take aguardiente or tequila and suffering and more suffering. You know, the
Really
Mexicans,
strong.
we are professionals in suffering.
And tequila.
And tequila, and boleros, and
Right.
rancheras. If it's about suffering and tequila, Mexico is the first.
The best.
Yes.
Number
it's-
one.
Let's go. Or what do you think? In your experience?
In my experience in Mexico, I
Yes.
mean, sure, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a very complex culture, right? And I don't know the poetry of Mexico as well as I would like to. But the in thinking about your poem, right? The idea of understanding and connecting that with love, right? Can you explain that idea, or the use of the cat, for instance, right? I mean, how did this? Can you maybe talk a little bit about your process in writing or thinking or imagining, as you put it?
Yes, well, my life in the seminary was like a monk, monje, no del otro. Yes, and I lived in middle of the forest alone, and it was so hard for me. The first 3 months was like, maybe it's not my election. Maybe I need to back with my mother and cry. But my fate saved me, and I adopt 2 cats. The first cat, his name is Jupiter.
Okay.
And and he is a really, really good friend. All nights I write. If I think something, I write, and if not, I write too. I work all days, and my cat, I don't know, but my cat understands everything. Sometimes I remember one day I listening José Alfredo Jiménez song. Es la canción. The song is habla del amor, que dice, si yo me voy lejos, que nadie sepa lo que sufrí. No sé si la recuerden.
I don't remember the name.
Oh, es a ranchera. It's a ranchera. Extraño, amor extraño. No sé. But I cry. And my cat comes with me and save me and clean my tears with his little paw. Yes. And see me like, what happened with you? Go ahead. Okay. And I wrote a book about Jupiter. Everything is about Jupiter. Because he walked in my computer and one song is San Francisco. And the other night, again, San Francisco. And the other night, caminaba, he walked in the teclado.
The keyboard.
And again, San Francisco, and I understand. He likes that song.
Okay. Well, we are up on our first pausa for the program, and we will be back in a couple of minutes with more Radio Culture Shock.
¿Te gustaría crear o mejorar dispositivos para el servicio de seres vivos, tales como prótesis, órtesis e instrumental biomédico? ¿Qué estás esperando? La Escuela de Ingeniería Biónica de la UPAEP te invita a conocer cómo un ingeniero biónico domina y aplica las habilidades de elementos mecánicos, electrónicos y biológicos en las personas. Conoce nuestro plan de estudios conformado por 9 cuatrimestres con líneas terminales en diseño y manufactura de prótesis, emprendedores e instrumentación biomédica, con un campo de trabajo que va desde el sector salud, automotriz y aeroespacial. Para más información, comunícate al teléfono 229-9400, extensión 7146, o consulta la página www.upaep.mx. Ingeniería biónica, calidad de vida en tus manos. Hazlo tuyo. Hazlo UPAEP.
En México, la leucemia es la principal causa de muerte por enfermedad de niños de 5 a 14 años. En UPAEP queremos transformar esta realidad. Un grupo de estudiantes de diferentes posgrados estamos desarrollando un proyecto que busca identificar nuevos marcadores moleculares de leucemia. Esta investigación es conducida por la doctora Rocío Baños del Centro de Investigación Oncológica Una Nueva Esperanza UPAEP. Con este proyecto participamos en 2 convocatorias. La primera en la Universidad de San Diego, la cual nos sirvió mucho para afinar nuestro proyecto. La segunda fue en Tsinghua University, en China, donde concursamos 67 equipos de todo el mundo y solo pasamos 11. Trabajamos mucho durante 2 semanas y al final valió la pena. Resultamos ganadores del primer lugar y obtuvimos apoyo para seguir con nuestro proyecto. Mi historia se transforma con cada acción que emprendo. Aún me falta mucho por contar. Soy David y soy UPAEP. En México, la leucemia es la principal causa de muerte por enfermedad de niños de 5 a 14 años. En UPAEP queremos transformar esta realidad. Un grupo de estudiantes de diferentes posgrados estamos desarrollando un proyecto que busca identificar nuevos marcadores moleculares de leucemia. Esta investigación es conducida por la doctora Rocío Baños del Centro de Investigación Oncológica Una Nueva Esperanza UPAEP. Con este proyecto participamos en 2 convocatorias. La primera en la Universidad de San Diego, la cual nos sirvió mucho para afinar nuestro proyecto. La segunda fue en Tsinghua University, en China, donde concursamos 67 equipos de todo el mundo y solo pasamos 11. Trabajamos mucho durante 2 semanas y al final valió la pena. Resultamos ganadores del primer lugar y obtuvimos apoyo para seguir con nuestro proyecto. Mi historia se transforma con cada acción que emprendo. Aún me falta mucho por contar. Soy David y soy UPAEP.
Vida de Estudiambre presenta un espacio cultural.
En el centro histórico de la ciudad de Puebla se encuentra San Pedro, Museo de Arte, el cual, a través del tiempo, ha sufrido drásticos cambios. A finales del siglo XIX fue creado para funcionar como hospital colaborador de ciencia médica, para después convertirse en el Hospital General del Estado hasta su total abandono. Rodeado por historias de terror, en 1988, este espacio fue designado para ser convertido en un museo. Y en 2002 fue creado San Pedro, Museo de Arte. Cuenta con una exposición permanente que presenta un panorama de las etapas históricas del edificio. Ocasionalmente se presentan exposiciones temporales de temas modernos y contemporáneos. Visita San Pedro, Museo de Arte, y conoce la historia de Puebla.
Okay, so we're back and I'm here.
Alan decided to show up.
And well, I was listening. I was just right out here. And so now before we start talking about the topic of this week, so we're going to go to the Vox Populi and let's see how our students celebrate or what is their opinion about Valentine's Day. So let's listen to that.
Amigos de Culture Shock, hoy vamos a hablar del 14 de febrero y vamos a ver qué tienen que decir los estudiantes de la UPAEP.
¿Qué opinas del 14 de febrero?
Es una fecha bonita.
¿Con quién pasas este día?
Con mis amigos.
¿De dónde crees que proviene esta festividad?
No sé, de Europa, creo.
¿Cuál es el mejor regalo que te han dado?
Unas flores y unos globos.
¿Qué opinan del 14 de febrero?
Pues yo creo que es un día muy importante y muy especial porque pues puedes convivir con todas tus amigas y si tienes pareja, pues con tu pareja.
¿Con quién pasas el 14 de febrero?
Yo la paso con mis amigas. Salimos a comer, a dar una vuelta.
¿De dónde crees que proviene esta festividad?
La verdad no me imagino, pero supongo que algunos enamorados inventaron eso. No sé.
¿Cuál es el mejor regalo que has recibido?
No soy como muy apegada a lo material, así que yo creo que el mejor regalo pues es pasarlo con mis amigos o con mi familia, las personas que me quieren.
Hola, ¿qué hora es este San Valentín?
Estaré con mis amigos, que iremos a tomar un café o no sé.
¿Y tú?
Igual pasaré el día con mis amigos, igual es un día como familiar y a festejar.
¿Qué regalos das?
Ay, no soy mucho de regalos, me gusta más como compartir, de estar con ellos, pasar así, no sé, ir a comer, igual ir a tomar un café y nada más.
¿Cuál es el regalo que digas, wow, es el mejor regalo que me han dado ese día?
Yo creo que el mejor regalo es el tiempo brindado a la persona.
Ok, gracias.
¿Qué opinas sobre el 14 de febrero?
Que es una buena festividad, puesto que nos reunimos con nuestros amigos, incluso con una pareja.
¿De dónde crees que proviene esta festividad?
Espero que... He leído acerca del origen, la verdad no me acuerdo bien, y creo que es Europa, pero bien.
¿Cómo vas a celebrar este 14 de febrero?
Este 14 de febrero, pues tenemos planes como amigos, entonces cada año pues nos reunimos, entonces los que tienen novios, pues todos juntos y como amigos.
¿Cuál ha sido tu regalo favorito?
Mi regalo favorito ha sido que me regalaron unas botellas de vino. O sea, cada 14 es como un pequeño intercambio, entonces siento que este fue el...
Gracias.
Okay, and we're back. As you can notice, we're still laughing because some of the answers were just we don't know if these people are really honest or they were just for the interview, right? Just try to give a very nice and polite answer.
But it's true, the best present is time.
Oh, sure, yes. Yes. But it just sounded funny at that moment.
If what he told is true, that's perfect.
But it's interesting, right? Because we have the statistics on right, how much people spend on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
On average in Mexico, right? So it says here that about 20% will spend between 1,000 and 2,000 pesos. About 40% will spend between 500 and 1,000 pesos. And about 32% will spend 100 to 500 pesos, which, if my math is right, leaves us with 8% who don't spend anything.
Yeah.
Or spend like 5,000 pesos. I don't know.
Yeah, probably
The
between
statistics are
any
not
of those
complete.
two, right?
The statistics are not complete.
What's the most you've spent on Valentine's Day, everyone here?
Like 500 maybe.
500?
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay.
Well, since it's my birthday, I usually don't spend a lot of money, but the times that I've spent maybe like 700 pesos.
Wow. You have to receive gifts.
Yeah. I
You don't
just
spend
I
money.
just
She
want my
receives thousands of gifts, right?
In fact, 2 gifts. One for your birthday and another for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, of course.
What about you, Princesa? What's like the most you've spent?
200.
200? Okay. What about you,
I have a
Nathaniel?
strict policy of not celebrating Valentine's Day.
Oh!
What a
Okay, okay.
Where are you from?
Again.
I'm very cold.
What about
I'm
you,
dead
Alan?
inside.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an interesting question.
It's cold.
I truly don't remember, but yeah, probably like the most just once, not every Valentine's, but probably like 2,000. Yeah, so yeah, that was, but many years ago though.
You're an splendid boyfriend.
But what I mean, so what do we have? I mean, so there is an actual history to this day, right? It's not just
Of course,
made
yes.
up by greeting card companies or candy companies. What can you guys tell us? So you guys did some research. Can you tell us a little bit about the history and the origin of Valentine's Day?
Sure. So it is believed that in Rome, way even before the Middle Age era, there was this fertility festival in Lupercalia, which actually was for sacrificing animals and whipping women with their skin until they bleed. So that meant that the woman was actually able to have babies. So I don't know. I think that's horrible, but
That's not lovely.
no, that's not lovely.
It's got red on it though.
Right.
Yeah. Some red on it.
Yeah.
And the most common belief, right? It's about Saint Valentine, which Emperor Claudius II prohibited young couples to get married because they were soldiers and they would get distracted from war. But Saint Valentine just didn't care about that prohibition, and he just kept on marrying these couples, of course, in secret. And that's why it was called he supposedly died for February 14th, and that's why we celebrate that day in honor to him and his abilities to get people together and make love live forever as well. Yep.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers
for him.
to Saint
For
Valentine.
Valentine.
And of course, there are other ideas about. So that's one. maybe
Yeah, that's
idea.
one.
There are others who, and it falling on maybe a similar time of year as that fertility festival. Also, I mean, fertility in the spring, right? We probably all noticed this week here in Puebla, the weather's starting to change quite a bit, right? Springtime beginning in February or March, right? Or this time of year, spring beginning and the birds and the bees and all of that stuff, right? Things that happen in the spring, right? But it's not. So there are many different ways of celebrating this around the world. We've got a whole lot of information here.
Yeah, it's just remember that this is a day that, even if it's considered by many people as just a marketing day, it's still a very important day throughout, like all around the world. And many countries celebrate it in different ways, some of them even on different dates. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep, that's correct. And well, as Alan said, it's an important day around the world, but it's different. It's depending also in the country. For example, in USA, there is a feminist group that created the Quirky Alone Day. This is dedicated for who prefers being alone than in a couple. so they don't want to feel obligated to have a couple, so they celebrated this important feminist group. But it's curious because, on the other hand, in South Korea, there is a day that celebrates the Forever Alone Day. That, well, it's in a contrast with the Quirky Alone in the USA by this feminist group. So the people that is alone, well, they're
They
like
grieve,
They
right?
grieve.
They grieve.
Right.
They are sad for being
Forever
alone.
alone. But they celebrate that, so, well, that's Korea.
It's interesting, right? How the US is like, oh yeah, this is a day to be proud. I'm alone and I don't need a
Right.
man in my life, or I don't need a couple, right? But in South Korea, they say like, no, yeah, this is a day to be sad. I have no one to share it with. It's just this contrast, right? But
Right.
it happens.
sad.
What about England?
So in England, more specifically in Norfolk, there's a character called Jack Valentine that actually knocks at your door and leaves candy and gifts for the children. You know, it's like Santa Claus, but for Valentine's Day. I mean, that's pretty interesting because not only do they receive gifts from Santa Claus or their birthday, but they also receive for Valentine's Day. I mean, that's actually pretty cool.
I wonder how he looks like, right? Like,
Maybe he's got hearts or like the typical diaper. I don't know.
Yeah, probably like with the diaper and with an arrow and a bow, right? It's just something interesting.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, well, they celebrate February 14th, but they also have a special day, which is on June 12th, and it's Dia de los Enamorados. Or Enamorados, right?
Enamorados.
Yes.
Enamorados.
That would be so double combo for them, and that's very, very happy. Well, Brazil is known to be very loving and romantic, so yeah, it makes sense.
And similarly in Uruguay, there is the Dia de los Enamorados on the 21st of September, right? And also the classic St. Valentine's Day on the 14th. So similar.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Dia de los Enamorados is probably would be interesting to know where it comes from, because also in Bolivia, that's the only thing they said. They don't celebrate February 14th.
Right.
They celebrate September 21st, Dia de los Enamorados, which is interesting, right? What about France? They're the most romantic country, right?
Yeah. Everyone that is in love want to go over there, right?
Yeah.
So they say that in France, a third of the country celebrates it, and also 72% of people believe in true love, and 42% believe that there's a possibility to finding love in internet. So you can see that they are really loving. And also what they find interesting in, couples, like for example, if you want to date a man or a woman, both of them agree that you need to be honest and you need to be like, kind of cute so that your relationship can succeed.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting, right? Because I'm asking you, do you believe you could find love on the internet?
I think that it's difficult.
Okay.
You don't know the person. So yeah, I think that it's not that easy. So, well, that's what I believe.
What about you, Princesa? Do you think you could find love on the internet?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because you need feel the person, the vibe, eyes,
Okay.
embrace, other things.
Cool. I agree with that. It's just, but this is interesting. From the very first people I started meeting in France, I would talk to them, and I know actually some girls who have like boyfriend, and they met him on the internet, and it's just, for me it's mind blowing, because in Mexico that's not very common, especially among young people. It's not very common, right?
No.
And especially if that relationship lasts. But here, when I saw this 42% something, it was interesting for me, because it was like, wow, it's truly happening.
I know several people who are now married who met their significant others, their husbands or wives, on the internet. And then I mean, so it's, I don't know. I guess the proof, if it works, then you have to sort of believe in it. If it doesn't, then well, then maybe you're more skeptical.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never gone on a dating website.
Of course, I know.
Yeah, it's like sad. It's like.
Of course, I'm very curious, and the first time I got the chance to ask him a question, I did it, right? And I asked him like, "Why? How did that happen?" And I remember this guy telling me, "Well, I sent her a message, and I asked her like, what was the first message he sent you?" And he said, he asked me what was my favorite Pokemon." And I was like, seriously? And she said she didn't want to answer because she was like freaked out, and she said like he's a weirdo or something.
Right.
So she just said like no thank you, but he kept on asking her questions. So he said like probably he's honest, he's just being him and himself, right? And yeah, that's why they started talking, and it's just interesting. Good question, right? So let's go very quick to commercial, and then we'll be back. And yeah, this is Culture Shock.
UPAEP, rumbo al 50 aniversario. Misión.
Crear corrientes de pensamiento y formar líderes que transformen a la sociedad, en la búsqueda de la verdad, integrando fe, ciencia y vida. Valores.
Junto a la verdad, el bien y la belleza, nuestra universidad sostiene como valores rectores la dignidad de la persona humana, la libertad, la solidaridad, la subsidiariedad, la congruencia, el respeto, el amor y la justicia. Visión.
Somos una comunidad universitaria fraterna, congruente, alegre y comprometida, que es referente en la conjunción del pensamiento humanista, cristiano y las ciencias, que forma integralmente líderes con alta calidad profesional y compromiso social. Contribuye a la transformación de la sociedad con propuestas pertinentes, orientadas a la consecución del bien común. Tiene presencia e influencia en los ámbitos local, regional, nacional e internacional. Centra la gestión en la persona y optimiza los recursos al servicio de la misión institucional. Líneas rectoras.
Atreverse a vivir congruentemente nuestra identidad, como ejemplo de virtud en el servicio, con respeto y amor al prójimo, para la transformación social en orden al bien común.
Privilegiar a través de la academia la formación humanista cristiana en busca de la excelencia científica y profesional, con pensamiento universal y trascendencia social.
Crear sistemas académicos de auténtica pertinencia social, a través de la docencia, investigación y extensión, para enriquecer la cultura y participar en la solución de los problemas fundamentales del país.
Involucrarse en la formación y desarrollo intercultural de la comunidad universitaria a través de ámbitos y vínculos de internacionalización.
Lograr ambientes de confianza, colaboración y servicio, dentro de una cultura de austeridad, transparencia y evaluación. UPAEP, rumbo al 50 aniversario. Desde la docencia.
Vida de Estudiambre presenta No te quedes en tu casa.
Mosaico poblano se proyecta sobre la fachada principal de la Catedral Angelopolitana. Distingue diferentes etapas de la historia de Puebla: su gastronomía, talavera, textiles y fiestas populares. Mosaico poblano proyecta la riqueza cultural e histórica del Estado en un espectáculo audiovisual único en su tipo, que coloca al Estado como un destino innovador. Mosaico poblano, el sitio de tu interés.
Okay, estamos de regreso con Radio Culture Shock, and we are talking about Valentine's Day. We're talking about love. We're talking about romantic love. We're talking about spiritually inspired love. Our guest, Princesa, is here. She is a poet, and we're going to continue with our chat about your poetry, and and how you dedicated yourself to poetry, but also to the ministry, right, and to theology.
Did you
Where
start?
next?
I wanted to ask this question
because you weren't here for the first part.
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
interview.
So, what is it harder, to write in English or in Spanish?
I prefer Spanish because I feel more confidence. But when I learned English 31 years old. When I arrived to USA, I came to speak one word in English, only thank you and goodbye. But I was a big discovery for me because I find a new world in English. I always think like English is so easy, like on off, but no, a big mistake because it's like music. It's more kind, the English for me. For example, in USA, the people are, hey, how are you? Have a great day. You too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Blah, blah, blah. Even the tone is different. And here is, change it down. You need change your personality with age language. And in English, it's like, I feel like Britney Spears. But in Spanish, I am Lola Beltrán. But for example, two concepts. Luna in Spanish is more like contemplative thing, but moon really is a deep travel to the moon. When I say moon, I feel the moon inner me. You know, I feel magic and night and everything. And Luna is like a distance. And the second word is windbreaker and rompevientos.
Windbreaker. Okay.
Windbreaker and rompevientos. It's so different.
Yeah.
Rompevientos is like resistance. Rompevientos is onomatopeico. But windbreaker is like you flow in the rhyme and line. And for example, the responsibility. In Spanish, you say, se me cayeron las llaves. Me cayeron. But in English, you say, I dropped keys. Responsibility in your act. And I have a list, but other programs.
Very interesting way, right?
Because we usually ask so we've had guests that are native English speakers, and we ask them what their favorite word is in Spanish. So windbreaker, was that like one of your favorite words in English, or do you have a set of favorite words?
Yes, I think magic. I like the word magic. Magic is beautiful, and moon and windbreaker too.
Okay.
It's like
I like that
solder.
group, you know, magic, moon, and windbreaker.
I'm a poet. I am a poet.
So what's your inspiration to create poems?
My lovers. I think or I say. I don't remember. Actually, my lovers, but now my cat, my life, everything. The quotidian life is beautiful. Your eyes, your glasses.
Thank you.
I don't know. The school, everything for me have poetry. The life have poetry.
And so is there a particular inspiration behind? So you mentioned that, and you have it here with you, your new book. Was there a specific part of life that inspired that, or does it draw from all sorts of experiences?
I think everything is a fiction. The only difference is you accept this fiction like reality, but everything for me is a fiction. And my best fiction in this book is the poetry. It's not my life, but it's a lot about my perspective about the life, because it's a narrative, but it's poetry both. Its narrative is short stories about women. For that reason is La Caverna de Medusa, because I don't know if you know about the myth of Medusa. Medusa, the monster. Yes.
That would petrify
you.
you.
Yes. But I think it's very injusto.
Unfair,
the story with Medusa. I think I need to write her redemption. You know, her redemption is about love. If your eyes is the window of your spirit, you can change. If you change from inner you.
Okay.
En Spanish hay un verso que define muy bien esto de José Cruz que dice, fuera no soy si dentro no he sido. And I think it's really.
That's a very strong. I should talk to you more often. Yeah, and when was your first experience writing in English? Because you have winning award poems, right?
Yes.
Award-winning poems.
Yes.
And
yes.
in English.
My first poem was about Be Poet in New York. I wrote in New York. I so drunk and bright was like, I am a poet. The beginning, the first line.
Okay.
I am a poet. Yes. No. 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 Yes. Why not? No. 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 Yes. Yes. Of course. No. 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 Yes. 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 No. Yes. I am a poet. And I won an award for that poem. It's like, who is that crazy princess, a Mexican princess? And it's like, because it's so arrogant when you say, I am a poet. It's arrogant, ¿no? But tú necesitas también responsabilizarte por tus palabras. Y entonces, decir, sí, soy una poeta, y voy para allá y me hago responsable de mis palabras y de mi música y nadie te puede dar permiso de sí o no, más que la poesía. Y yo creo que la poesía abraza a un corazón que arde. Y mi corazón ha ardido. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal?
Wow. We are like, really we're speechless here.
Yeah. and well, if you could define your poetry in just one word, what would it be and why?
Sincerity. I don't want to pretend anything. It's only my heart, the language of my heart. And my father was poet too. Then he teach me everything about life, perspective, God, the other, education, discipline, everything. And he was poet and musician.
Oh.
And I have 4 sisters, all women. All of us, we have strange names. My name is Princesa. Everybody always is like, oh, why princesas? Pocahontas, Mulan? What happened with you? Yes, because the people don't permit the difference.
Yeah.
The difference is like
a sin.
A sin.
Right?
It's like, exactly. Why princesa? And my other sister, she's a pianist, and her name is Ilusión. And the other sister, she is a singer, and her name is Amanecer.
Wow.
And my other sister is Esmeralda, and my other sister is Estrella.
So you're 5?
5, yes.
Wow.
And my father made a musical group, and everybody play instruments. My older sister saxophone, the other bass, the other keyboard, the other
drums.
I know drums. And I was very, very little, maybe 3 years, and I don't have any talent for the music. And my father say, okay, she is part of our family, the pondering. Then I played the pondering, but I believe the pondering was other instruments like piano. But now I know. It's not.
I assume that every poet has his own or her own process of creating poetry, right? Which I cannot even imagine how it goes. But how do you know, or how is there a way for you to know that one of your poems or one of your ideas is complete and you say like, okay, this is done, I'm gonna publish it, or it's ready to publish, or it's ready to share it with friends? How do you know it's the end of the process of this creation?
I think a poem never is finished. Never,
Okay.
never. It's like in change. But I write, and if I cry, it's ready for me. Because when
Okay.
I cry, I feel a fire in my heart. And I think it's something. It's like, okay, it's something because I feel the language. And I think the poetry comes from God. And when you connect with God, He te dicta.
Dictates.
He dictates everything. It's like a music, no? It's like a music, like a music. And I leave my poem in my desk, maybe 2 months, and after go again. And okay, it's good. It's a good poem. And I publish in a book or in my Facebook or wherever, because the poetry is for share. And when somebody say, hey, I really connect, okay, the mission is done.
Cool.
So you have a new book, actually, right?
Yes.
So what should we expect from your book? Why should we read it? Because, you have a lot of inspiration, you have a lot of imagination, and a lot of work within this book. So what do you want to express to your audience?
It's a perspective of hope. Sometimes the women, is a temptation to project their dreams about a man, a partner, a couple, or sons. But specific in Latin America or Mexico, we need to take our power and say, I am. Like Moses, the big I am. What is your name? I am. I am who I am. And I think this book is about women's freedom and confidence, hope. Is jump, and God is wait for you. It's not a religious book, it's poetry, but for me this book have a lot of light, and it's like accompanying in your grief or tus duelos, ¿no? Tus dolores. El libro te acompaña y no te hace sentir sola. Que alguien está contigo, porque este libro tiene historias de lo que las mujeres no contarían jamás, porque avergüenzan. Pero esas historias existen y están acá con poesía.
Wow. So, for our listeners and for anyone who might be interested, where can we get your book? Where can we find it?
En Profética, en las librerías de la Universidad de la UAP, en CCU, la librería que está junto a la Facultad de Letras, y en la Biblioteca del Palacio y en el Instituto Municipal de Arte y Cultura también se encuentra. O si no, me buscan en mis redes sociales y ya yo se los doy.
Okay, perfect. Wow, that's too much to take. It sounds great. And well, now what are your plans? What are your projects? Do you have anything?
Be apostle. My plans is be apostle and to help the people feel better, but I think my mission in this life is share love and hope through the theology, poetry. I am a teacher and I really enjoy. I like travel and I think I want my life in movement all the time. This is my goal. And for me, my only goal was be freedom. And I think I achieve. I freedom, but I'm freedom to the fears, I'm free.
It's
I'm
hard
free.
to be free.
Yes, I'm free. But the first thing for not be free is the fear. Y yo maté al miedo. Entonces, si hay tiempo, me gustaría, porque el paso al amor, yo creo que lo que no te lleva al amor es el miedo. Y el miedo enmascarado de odio, rencor, resentimiento, pero principalmente es el miedo. Y yo lo maté. Entonces me gustaría, si se puede, leer un poema de que maté al miedo y entonces le di la bienvenida al amor. ¿Puedo?
Sí.
Muchas gracias. Desde antes de que todo mi ser se formara tenía miedo. He conocido el miedo desde que nací. Envolví al miedo con mi piel, le di ojos, le permití escuchar, sentir, saber. La palabra y el verbo tenían raíz de miedo, el otro sin miedo y yo con miedo, enmiedada, enmiedenada, tragando miedo, muriendo miedo, 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 miedo paralizante, miedo empastillado y enlibretado, miedo caminante y cantante, miedo pensante, miedo subjuntivo y posesivo, miedo descafeinado, miedo fumado, miedo masticado, miedo envalentonado, miedo de saber que habito miedo, miedo consciente y miedo educado, y desde el miedo la gesta, la espada en el fuego, el espejo que ya no mata y el soplo de vida. Perseo humillado porque Medusa dejó de ser piedra, despertó.
Wow, that was really beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, Princesa. It was an honor.
I just want to say I'm lucky not to be just next to you. I'd be so nervous right now. So, yeah.
And so we are up on time, but yes, thank you again for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
we hope everybody has a great week. We will see you here next Tuesday on Radio Culture Shock. I'm Nathaniel.
I'm Alan.
I'm Danny.
I'm Willie.
And our
And
guest.
Princesa.
See you next week.
See you.
Thank you very much for listening to us, and we'll be back.
Bye.